welcome back to 3 Points and a Touchdown Fantasy. I'm Charles Fisher, joined with Zach Kaplan and Roman Bostic. Today we're going to talk about some boom and bust players and some sleepers. So the first guy, we're going to talk about Saquon Barkley. Roman, do you think he's going to boom or do you think he's going to bust?
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say he's going to bust. Did you see Saquon in that game against the Steelers? He had 8 rushes for 13 yards. Those are not numbers I want in fantasy. I had him on my fantasy team that week. I had 2.6 points and lost that game. I'm not trusting him. Yes, I know he's coming back off of injury, and yes, I know he's going to be good. But I would not advise drafting Saquon higher than the second or even third round. I'd maybe draft him in the fourth, tops. But you can probably get away with having people draft him really early because people are going to ignore that game, blame it on the injury, blame it on all that jazz. I just don't think that rehab is going to, put as much of a dent in it as we think it is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Roman. I just think it's too risky because he's so injury prone and he's coming off a really bad season injury.
I think, honestly, if your whole league feels this way and you can snag him like the 6th round or even like the 4th round, he's going to be great for you. He's going to put up Saquon Barkley numbers at least half of the games. There's no way he's going to be bad. He's going to be good. He might not be 2018 Saquon Barkley, but he is going to be a good football player this season, and he's going to definitely contribute to your fantasy team, especially if you can get him in those later rounds. The next guy we're going to talk about is Michael Thomas.
I think Michael Thomas is honestly going to be just fine if you pick him up on waivers. Oh, looks like we got a caller calling in here.
Hello, state your name.
Hello, I'm Jared Plummer, calling from Virginia, and I was wondering, why do you think Saquon Barkley was so good when he was a rookie, and now he's falling off a little bit?
Well, I just think it's the injuries that's killing him. He was so good, but coming off an injury, your body really just isn't the same. And the Giants' offensive line also is just not good enough to protect him and keep him out of the IR.
I definitely agree with you there. Saquon, he's a very good running back, but the way that he plays puts him at risk of getting injured 90% of the time. He goes for fancy hurdles, he has to go for fancy jukes, he's fast, and the only way people can take him out is by hitting him in the legs. This is exactly what happened to Gronkowski, except Gronkowski's a tight end. He's built to be durable here. But with Saquon, he's a running back. He's going to get hit and hit and hit. But with Gronk, he lost a lot of his speed, a lot of his agility, a lot of his height, because the only way you can bring him down was hitting him in the legs. That's what's happening to Saquon. He's making these cuts, forcing himself to do things that his body is not supposed to be able to do. And that's why Saquon keeps getting hurt, and that's why his stock is slowly falling each year.
Do you think that Saquon Barkley is never going to... Do you think Saquon Barkley will ever recover from his injury?
I think Saquon Barkley can recover from the injury with a Giants rebuild of their offensive line. Yeah. If the Giants pull a Chiefs, build that offensive line back up, let him get 5 yards per carry, don't make him have to juke, and make their team more pass dependent. If Daniel Jones can throw the ball, then yeah, I think Saquon can go back because now they're going to be worried about the ball being thrown by Daniel Jones or wherever they have under center and Saquon Barkley. Saquon is the only thing the Giants offense has of now. We don't know about Kadarius Toney. We don't know about Daniel Jones. Kenny Golladay gets injured more than Saquon Barkley, and Evan Ingram made the Pro Bowl but dropped 90% of his passes. Saquon is literally the only consistent player on the team.
Yeah, when you're playing against the Giants as a defense, it's just when Saquon is playing, which is very rare, it just stops Saquon. That's their only weapon right now. They have decent receivers, but they have no one to throw the ball to the receivers.
All right, let's talk about some sleepers. Roman, who is your sleeper pick for this year in fantasy football?
I have actually 2 sleeper picks. My first one is going to be Darnell Mooney. I really think that Darnell Mooney is going to benefit from Andy Dalton because, number one, Mitch Trubisky, he's able to put the ball on the money. Psych, just kidding. Mitch Trubisky can't throw the ball more than 10 yards. He's inaccurate, can't make these passes, and he's not great. But you're going to have Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton isn't, in my opinion, better that much than Mitch Trubisky. They're pretty similar, but Andy Dalton has one thing that Mitch Trubisky doesn't. That's accuracy. Andy Dalton can fit the ball in those windows, as evidenced when he was on the Cowboys, when he was on the Bengals. His name's the Red Rifle for a reason. Yeah. But the big reason is because I have a prediction that Justin Fields will step in for the Bears at week 9 and absolutely smash it. He will be flinging that ball. Did you see him in that preseason game against the Dolphins? I think that he can do outstanding things. Allen Robinson's going to benefit. Darnell Mooney's going to benefit. The entire Bears organization is going to benefit when Fields steps in.
Yeah, I agree. But that's gonna do it for our show. We gave you some sleepers, some guys maybe to hold off on in the draft in the early rounds. That's gonna do it for 3 points and a touchdown fantasy. I'm Charles Fisher, joined with Zach Kaplan and Roman Bostic, and we'll see you next time.